Now, on to the good stuff. So we are mostly down to the longer things, which is fine. I think we're going to do like last time. We'll pick one of these and then we can find something that's 2 or 3 pages from either the Lovecraft or the murder mystery book and go on. I was thinking this one here, Never Bet the Devil Your Head. That one, it's like 7 pages, so that one wouldn't be too bad. We have the narrative of Arthur Gordon and the Pym of Nantucket. Oh, we got a yes. All right. Never bet the devil your head. I feel like it's very much the vibes we keep around here. Where's my highlighter? Of course, Brandon's not here to make my highlighter joke yet, but we'll get there. 440. What's going on? All right. I'm gonna need my reading card. Ah, there we go. Never bet the devil your head. A tale with a moral. Ooh, gotta love that. Here, maybe I can get this a little bit closer so you guys can. And then some water. Fiona and Sarah aren't here either, so I don't have to worry about doing my ASMR water sips for them. All right. Oh, we're going to start out with some Spanish. All right. Contal que las combustres de un autor, says Don Tomás de la Torres, in the preface to his amatory poems. Sean puras y castas, importo muy poco que no sean igualmente serveas sus obras. I understood like half of that, but this is what these are for. Oh, it didn't have, usually it has that. Oh, well. Oh, meaning in plain English, that provided the morals of an author are pure personally. Oh, greetings, unapologetic playlist. I like that. Let's get you your card pulled. Ooh. Hydrate. Be the condensation you wish to see. Leave poetic puddles. Oh my gosh, I forgot to read the bottom lines on everybody's cards. I'll fix that. And plus, we're going to take pictures once I'm done for everybody. We'll get it together. Like I said, I was distracted. Oh, yay. We did it. Go USA. I guess I can turn that off now. And get back to reading. Okay. Meaning, in plain English, that provided the morals of an author are pure personally, it signifies nothing what are the morals of his books. We presume that Don Tomas is now in purgatory for the assertion. It would be a clever thing, too, in the way of poetical justice, to keep him there until his amatory poems get out of print, or are laid definitely upon the shelf through lack of readers. Every fiction should have a moral. And, what is more to the purpose, the critics have discovered that every fiction has. Philip Melanchthon, some time ago, wrote a commentary upon the bat- batrachomyomachia. Okay, this is where we're going to be tonight. Okay. And proved that the poet's object was to excite a distaste for sedition. Pierre Lessein, going a step further, shows that the intention was to recommend young men temperance in eating and drinking. Just so, too, Jacobus Hugo has satisfied himself that by Eunice, Homer meant to insinuate John Calvin. By Antinous, Martin Luther, by the Lodifagi, Protestants in general, and by the Harpies, the Dutch. The Harpies. Our more modern scholi- oh my gosh, scholiasts are equally acute. These fellows demonstrate hidden in meaning that the antediluvians, a parable in Powhatan, new views in Cock Robin, and transcendentalism in Hop O, my thumb. Let's see what we've got with these footnotes. Greetings, Huston. Welcome to Begrudging Book Club. Let me find my footnote, and then we'll pull your card. Brandon, you're here. You missed the highlighter. We are reading Never Bet the Devil Your Head by Edgar Allan Poe. And okay, so we have a poem, an English nursery rhyme, a fairy tale. Okay. So let's get, it looks like Brandon came in first. So let's find your card. Ooh, you got soothe, soften, but do not dissolve. Warm lighting optional. I feel like that's a very good one for you. You are a ball of warm light. And then next in, we had Huston. Or maybe I got that backwards, but it's okay. Everybody's still getting their card. You got move. Walk until your mood can't keep up. Speed optional. Attitude mandatory. Ooh, look! There's a misprint on my cards. Oh, Houston. Okay. Oh, a ball of warm light. That Brandon means beacon, so I guess that fits. Yes, they are from the Begrudgingly Grateful deck. There's nothing mystical about them, but they do like to pretend to be tarot cards. You pick a card, you read the line, do something, don't do something. We hand them out for vibes, and then I'll take a picture after we're done of all the cards, and you can carry your vibe with you if you so desire. Um, so this card I have in my hand. All right, I think we're caught up now. Yep, we're caught up now. Okay, so the parable. Okay, in short, it has been shown that no man can sit down to write without a very profound design. Thus, to authors in general, much trouble is spared. A novelist, for example, need have no care of his moral. It is there, that is to say, it is somewhere, and the moral and the critics can take care of themselves. When the proper time arrives, all that the gentleman intended, and all that he did not intend, will be brought to the light. In the dial, or the downeaster, together with all that he ought to have intended, and the rest that he clearly meant to intend, so that it will all come very straight in the end. There is no ground, therefore, the charge brought against me by certain ignoramuses, that I have never written a moral tale, or, in more precise words, a tale with a moral. They are not, oh my gosh, this is another one of his Substack posts where he's gonna rant, 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 and we're gonna have something. Okay, I see you, pal. There is no just ground, therefore, for the charge brought against me by certain ignoramuses, that I have never written a moral tale, or, in more precise words, a tale with a moral. They are not critics predestined to bring me out and develop my morals. That is the secret. By and by, the North American quarterly humdrum will make them ashamed of their stupidity. In the meantime, by way of staying execution, by way of mitigating the accusations against me, I offer the sad history appended. A history about whose obvious moral there can be no question whatever, since he who runs may read it in the large capitals which form the title of the tale. I should have credit for this arrangement, a far wiser one than that of La Fontaine and others, who reserve the impression to be conveyed until the last moment, and thus sneak it in at the fag end of their fables. Ew. Defuncti injuria ne afficiantur was the law of the 12 tables, and, oops, de mortuis nil nisi bonum is an excellent injunction. We have let the dead suffer no injury and nothing but good of the dead. Okay. Is an excellent injunction. Even if the dead in question oh, okay. Oh my gosh, here we go. I just saw something about a dog in a chat and okay. It is an excellent injunction, even if the dead in question be nothing but dead. Small beer. It is not my design, therefore, no, to vituperate my deceased friend. Toby, damn it. He was a sad dog, it was true. Aw, my dog's name is Toby. He was a sad dog, it is true, and a dog's death it was that he died. But he himself was not to blame for his vices. They grew out of a personal defect in his mother. She did her best in the way of flogging him while he was an infant for duties to her well. Regulated mind were always pleasures, and babies, like tough steaks, or the modern Greek olive trees, are invariably better for the beating. But poor woman, she had the misfortune to be left handed. Ooh. And a child flogged left handedly had better be left unflogged. The world revolves from right to left. It will not do to whip a baby from left to right. If each blow in the proper direction drives an evil propensity out. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really. No, I thought it was talking about a dog, but we may be talking about beating babies here. I don't know. We're just going to keep going, and I might lose my composure. Okay. Um, okay. It will not do to whip a baby from left to right. If each blow in the proper direction drives an evil propensity out, it follows that every thump and an opposite one knocks its quota of wickedness in. I was often present at Toby's chastisements, and even by the way in which he kicked, I could perceive that he was getting worse and worse every day. At last, I saw, through the tears in my eyes, that there was no hope of the villain at all. And one day, when he had been cuffed until he grew so black in the face that one might have mistaken him for a little African, and no effect had been produced beyond that of making him wriggle himself into a fit, I could stand it no longer, but went down upon my knees forthwith, and, uplifting my voice, made prophecy of his ruin. Oh, greetings, a softer place to land. Welcome to, we've not yet determined if it's dog beatings or baby beatings, but yeah, we never know what we're gonna get because I don't pay attention and I don't think I've read this one. So, ooh, you've got hydrate. Spite still counts as electrolytes. Sip faster when annoyed. Gotta get that water in. Oh, whoops. I'm throwing cards everywhere. Um, yeah, made prophecy of his ruin. The fact is that his precocity in vice was awful. At 5 months of age, he used to get into such passions that he was unable to articulate. What 5-month-old does articulate? At 6 months, I caught him gnawing at a pack of cards. At 7 months, he was in the constant habit of catching and kissing the female babies. At 8 months, he peremptorily refused to put his signature on the temperance pledge. Thus, he went on increasing in iniquity month after month until at the close of the first year, he not only insisted upon wearing mustaches, but had contracted a propensity for cursing and swearing and for backing his assertions by bets. I am lost. We're going to keep reading. I. Though this latter most ungentlemanly practice, the ruin which I predicted to Toby Dammit overtook him at last. The fashion had grown with his growth and strengthened with his strength. Okay, so I guess so that when he came to be a man, he could scarcely utter a sentence without interlarding it with a proposition to gamble. Not that he actually laid wagers. No. I will do my friend justice to say that he would have soon laid eggs. With him, the thing was mere formula, nothing more. His expressions on his head had no meaning attached to them whatever. They were simple, if not altogether innocent, expletives. Imaginative phrases wherewith to round off a sentence. When he said, "I'll bet you so and so," nobody ever thought of taking him up. But still, I could not help thinking it my duty to put him down. The habit was an immoral one, and so I told him. It was a vulgar one. This I begged him to believe. It was discountenanced by society. Here, I said nothing but the truth. It was forbidden by act of Congress. Here, I had not the slightest intention of telling a lie. I remonstrated, but to no purpose. I demonstrated. In vain. I entreated. He smiled. I implored. He laughed. I preached. He sneered. I threatened. He swore. I kicked him. He called for the police. I pulled his nose. He blew it and offered to bet the devil his head that I would not venture to try that experiment again. Finally, we're getting somewhere. Poverty was another vice which the peculiar physical deficiency of Damit's mother had entailed upon her son. He was detestably poor. And this was the reason, no doubt, that his expletive expressions about betting seldom took a pecuniary turn. I will not be bound to say that I ever heard him make use of such a figure of speech as, I'll bet you $1. It was usually, I'll bet you what you please, or I'll bet you what you dare, or I'll bet you a trifle, or else, more significantly still, I'll bet the devil my head. Yes, Icker, he died broke. And it was because of his bitch boy ways, for sure. Yes, he was a bit of a drinker. And I think, what was it, laudanum or something like that? Oh, Benjamin Button situation. Okay, Brandon. We'll see. Who knows? If you read Bitch Boy Ways, it could have been me. I've made several posts. It's a popular thing that we like to say about Poe as we read. The latter form seemed to please him the best, perhaps because it involved the least risk. For Dammit had become excessively parsimonious. Had anyone taken him up, his head was small, and thus his loss would have been small too. But these are my own reflections, and I am by no means sure that I am right in attributing them to him. At all events, the phrase in question grew daily in favor, notwithstanding the gross impropriety of a man betting his brains like banknotes. But this was a point which my friend's perversity of disposition would not permit him to comprehend. In the end, he abandoned all other forms of wager and gave himself up to, I'll bet the devil my head, with a pertinacity and exclusiveness of devotion that displeases not less than it surprised me. I'm always displeased by circumstances for which I cannot account. Oh, yes, Tara, those bao buns looked yum. Oh. Mysteries force a man to think, and so injure his health. The truth is, there was something in the air with which Mr. Dammit was wont to give utterance to his offensive expression, something in his manner of enunciation, which at first interested and afterwards made me very uneasy. Oh, let's get this moved so I can see better. Oh, why are we not working? Sorry, I'm having a moment of technical difficulties. There we go. Not now. I will update later. Okay. Something in his manner of enunciation, which at first interested and afterwards made me very uneasy. Something which, for want of a more definite term at present, I must be permitted to call queer. Wendy! Greetings, Wendy. I'm glad you could make it. I know you said you had your shenanigans, so you probably wouldn't. Let's get you your card. Whoop. While that one falls. Ooh, look at that. We finally broke your hydration streak. You've got chaos mitigation. The world's on fire? Compliment someone's shoes. Civility as spell work. Well, I hope you take that one on. I still hope you have your water. Maybe that's what have you been hydrating so you finally the hydrate curse has been broken? Okay. Oh yes, so I must be permitted to call queer, but for which Mr. Coleridge would have called mystical. Mr. Kant, pan, pantheist, pantheistical. Mr. Carlyle, twistical. And Mr. Emerson, hyperquizzical. I'm fairly certain we know, like Immanuel Kant. Isn't that old enough? We could be talking about other people, but I do believe he's speaking of other ranty philosophers. I began to not like it at all. Mr. Dammit's soul was in a perilous state. I resolved to bring my eloquence into play to save it. Ooh. I vowed to serve him as St. Patrick. In the Irish Chronicle is said to have served the toad. That is to say, awaken him to a sense of his situation. I addressed myself to task forthwith. Once more, I betook myself to remonstrance. Again, I collected my energies for a final attempt at expostulation. Oh my gosh. Okay, you save him. I'm sure this is going to go well. I mean, apparently there's supposed to be a moral, so this will be fun. And it's in the humor section, and that's something we haven't done much, if any, of his humor. So, yes, Martin, I don't know what adjacent or satellite self-hell locations you guys are in, but my corridor, the heat is here. I think there's going to be like 111, 115 like real feel with the heat and humidity. Stay safe out there. When I'd made an end of my lecture, Mr. Dammit indulged himself in some very equivocal behavior. For some moments, he remained silent, merely looking at me inquisitively in the face. But presently, he threw his head to one side and elevated his eyebrows to a great extent. Then he spread out the palms of his hands and shrugged up his shoulders. He then winked with the right eye. Then he repeated the operation with the left. He shut them both very tight. Then he opened them both so very wide that I became seriously alarmed for the consequences. Then, applying his thumb to his nose, he thought proper to make an indescribable movement with the rest of his fingers. Finally, setting his arms akimbo, he condescended to reply. I can call to mind only the beads of his discourse. He would be obliged to me if I would hold my tongue. He wished none of my advice. He despised all of my insinuations. He was old enough to take care of himself. Did I still think him a baby? Or think him baby, damn it? Did I mean to say anything against his character? Did I intend to insult him? Was I a fool? Was my maternal parent aware, in a word, of my absence from the domiciliary domiciliary residence? We would put this latter in question to me as a man of veracity, and he would bind himself to abide by my reply. Once more, he would demand explicitly if my mother knew that I was out. My confusion, he said, betrayed me, and he would be willing to bet the devil his head that she did not. Mr. Dammit did not pause for my rejoinder. Turning upon his heel, he left my presence with undignified precipitation. It was well for him that he did so. My feelings had been wounded. Bitch boy. Even my anger had been aroused. For once, I would have taken him up on his insulting wager. I would have won for the arch enemy, Mr. Dammit's little head. For the fact is, my mama was very well aware of my merely temporary absence from home. But Coda Shefa Meded, heaven gives relief, as the Musulmans say when you tread upon their toes. It was in pursuance of my duty that I had been insulted, and I bore the insult like a man. Now, it now seemed to me, however, that I had done all that could be required of me in the case of this miserable individual, and I resolved to trouble him no longer with my counsel, but to leave him to his conscience and himself. But although I forbore to intrude with my advice, I could not bring myself to give up his society altogether. I even went so far as to humor some of his less reprehensible propensities, and there were times when I found myself lauding his wicked jokes, as epicures do mustard with tears in my eyes. So profoundly did it grieve me to hear his evil talk. Wendy, I'll bet the devil my head she wouldn't dare. Um, One fine day, having strolled out together, arm in arm, our route led us in the direction of a river. There was a bridge. Ooh, greetings, meal. I do know how to say Jacinth. So let's pause and get you your card. Welcome to Begrudging Book Club. Honestly, this is the weirdest way I have ever read anyone be pretentious in such a twisted way. All right. And I guess you haven't joined book club before. So we have our begrudgingly grateful cards, and they're going to be the vibe you take with you for this moment, any moment. Ooh, you've got move. Bow to no one, but maybe to balance. Curtain call optional. So, yes, we stretch, we do the good things, but we are not conceding. We bow for the good of it, not for the people. And then, yes, we did start in Spanish. Okay. Uh, Here's Evil Talk. One fine day, strolling out together. Yeah, okay. One fine day, having strolled out together, arm in arm, our route led us in the direction of a river. There was a bridge, and we resolved to cross it. It was roofed over by way of protection from the weather, and the archway, having but few windows, was thus very uncomfortably dark. As we entered the passage, the contrast between the external glare and the interior gloom struck heavily upon my spirits. Not so upon those of the unhappy Dammit, who offered to bet the devil's head that I was hipped. He seemed to be in an unusual good humor. He was excessively lively, so much so that I entertained I know not what of uneasy suspicion. It is not possible that he was affected with the transcendentals. I am not well enough versed, however, in the diagnosis of this disease to speak with a decision upon the point, and, unhappily, there were none of my friends of the dial present. I suggest the idea, nevertheless, because a certain species of austere Mary Anguism seemed to beset my poor friend, and caused him to make quite a tomfool of yourself. Nothing would serve him but wriggling and skipping about under and over everything that came in his way, now shouting out and now lisping out all manner of odd little and big words, yet preserving the gravest face in the world at all the time. I really could not make up my mind whether to kick or pity him. At length, having passed nearly across the bridge, we approached the termination of the footway, when our progress was impeded by a turnstile of some height. Though I made this Through this I made my way quietly, pushing it around as usual. But this turn would not serve the turn of Mr. Dammit. He insisted upon leaping the stile, and said he could cut a pigeon wing over it in the air. Cut a pigeon wing. Now, this, conscientiously speaking, I did not think he could do. The best pigeon winger over all kinds of style was my friend, Mr. Carlyle. And I knew he could not do it. I would not believe that it would be done by Toby Dammit. I therefore told him, in so many words, that he was a braggadocio, and could not do what he had said. For this I had reason to be sorry afterward, for he straightway offered to bet the devil his head that he could. Oh man. I was about to reply, notwithstanding my previous resolutions, with some remonstrance against his impiety, when I heard, close at my elbow, a slight cough, which sounded very much like the ejaculation. I started and looked about to me in surprise. Yes, Wendy, braggadocio is a good one. I started and looked about me in surprise. My glance at length fell into a nook of the framework of the bridge, and upon the figure of a little lame old gentleman of venerable aspect. Nothing could be more reverend than his whole appearance, for he not only had on a full suit of black, but his shirt was perfectly clean, and the collar turned very neatly down over a white cravat, while his hair parted in the front like a caress. His hands were clasped pensively together over his stomach, and his two eyes. Oh, what's going on in this chat? Oh, the post nut clarity. Of course, after I say ejaculation, we've got to go there. His hands were clasped. Upon observing him, my nails look dangerous. I'm gonna say thank you. They're not as sharp as they look. I have to make sure I can't, like, kill myself, but we've got it. I will say, like, sometimes I do, like, scratch a little hard in my sleep. Um, Observing him more closely, I perceived that he wore a black silk apron over his small clothes. And this was a thing which I thought very odd. Before I had time to make any remark, however, upon so singular a circumstance, he interrupted me with a second. To this observation, I was not immediately prepared to reply. The fact is, remarks of his laconic nature are nearly unanswerable. I have known a quarterly review nonplussed by the word fudge. And I am not ashamed to say, therefore, that I turned to Mr. Dammit for assistance. Damn it, I said. What are you about? Don't you hear? The gentleman says, ahem. I looked sternly at my friend while I thus addressed him. For, to say the truth, I felt particularly puzzled. Baby. And when a man is particularly puzzled, he must knit his brows and look savage, or else he is pretty sure to look like a fool. Damn it, observed I, although this sounded very much like an oath than which nothing was further from my thoughts. Damn it, I suggested. The gentleman says, ahem, did I just read that again? Whoops. No? Okay. Poe does that. Like, he'll say something, especially like in his poems, over and over again. And because sometimes my like brain damage, brain trauma likes to show, I'm like, oh my gosh, did I read this sentence? I do not attempt to defend my remark on the score of profundity. I do not think it profound myself. But I have noticed that the effect of our speeches is not always proportionate with their importance in our own eyes. And if I had shot Mr. D through and through with a Paxton bomb, or knocked him in the head with the poets and poetry of America, he hardly could have been more discomfited than when I addressed him with those simple words. Damn it! What are you about? Don't you hear? The gentleman says, ahem. You don't say so, gasped he at length, after turning more colors than a pirate, runs up one after the other when chased by a man of war. Greetings, Sarah. Welcome. I'm glad you made it. Let's get you your card. Oop. You've got reframe. Perspective is just revenge in disguise. Tilt it accordingly. So- Sometimes you just have to look at it from the other way. And who says revenge actually has to be like nasty? You can get revenge on your intrusive thoughts by saying fuck you and doing something else and moving on. Thank you, Brandon. And yes, you powerful people. We all are. Thank you, Sarah. You don't say so. Okay, yeah. You don't say so, gasped he at length, after, okay, no. Yeah, after he turns more colors than a pirate, runs up, one after the other, when chased by a man of war. Are you quite sure he said that? Well, at all events, I am in for it now, and may as well put a bold face upon the matter. Here goes then. Ahem. At this, the little old gentleman seemed pleased. God only knows why. He left his station at the nook of the bridge, limped forward with a gracious air, took Dammit by the hand, and shook it cordially, looking all the while straight up in his face with an air of the most unadulterated benignity which is possible for the mind of man to imagine. I'm quite sure you will win it, damn it, said he, with the frankest of all smiles. But we are obliged to have a trial, you know, for the sake of mere form. Reply, sorry, Sarah. This is probably like what, my 15th ahem. This guy has a serious loogie situation. Replied my friend, taking off his coat with a deep sigh, tying a pocket handkerchief around his waist, and producing an unaccountable alteration in his countenance by twisting up his eyes and bringing down the corner of his mouth. Ahem, ahem, said he again after a pause, and not another word more than ahem did I ever know him to say after that. Oh, Tara, the weird baby grew up. It's Toby Dammit. So he was a like shitty baby and now he's a shitty man. So and he's constantly betting the devil his head because he's broke and shitty and wants to tempt fate, apparently. Because, I mean, I guess, Sarah, you were not here for this part, but this is Never Bet the Devil Your Head, a tale with a moral. It is one of Poe's famous, what I like to call Substack essays. Some dude just going on about some gripe. But there's a moral. We're going to learn something here, as if we haven't learned anything already. Okay. My friend replied, taking off his coat, blah, blah, blah. Oh, okay. Is- Uh, did I ever know him to say after that? Uh huh, thought I, without expressing myself out loud. This is quite a remarkable silence on the part of Toby Dammit, and it is no doubt a consequence of his verbosity upon a previous occasion. So he talked so much he can't talk anymore. Ran his mouth. One extreme induces another. I wonder if he's forgotten the many unanswerable questions which he propounded to me so fluently on the day I gave him my last lecture. Oh, yes. And because Toby is such a like gambling degenerate, this guy's taken upon himself to save him. Captain Save-A-Ho coming in to help Toby out. Oh, yes, we learned that there's a right and wrong way to smack a baby. Cannot forget that part. Thanks, Brandon. I wonder if he has forgotten the many unanswerable questions which he propounded to me so fluently on the day when I gave him my last lecture. At all events, he is cured of the transcendentals. Ahem. Here, replied Toby, just as if he had been reading my thoughts, and looking like a very old sheep in a reverie. The old gentleman now took him by the arm, and led him more into the shade of the bridge, a few paces back from the turnstile. My good fellow, said he, I make it a point of conscience to allow you this much run. Wait here till I take my place by the stile. Oh, yeah, they were crossing a bridge still, and they got to a turnstile. And yeah, the old man, they're trying to I'd probably pay a toll or something. There's that whole part too. So I know people are occasionally getting lost. So we have to remember everything that's going on. Wait here till I take my place by the stile, so that I may see whether or not you go over it. Oh, yeah. And he bet the devil his head that he can jump over this turnstile like a pigeon wing. So that I may see whether you go over it handsomely and transcendentally, and don't omit any flourishes of the pigeon wing. Uh, so I have a feeling he means he's going to jump over this and like hit cross-legged midair and then land. Anybody else have thoughts on this? I feel like that's where we're going. Feel free to discuss. Um, and don't omit any flourishes of the pigeon wing. A mere form, I will say 1, 2, 3, and away. Mind you, start at the word away. Oh my gosh, is it going to be the. All right, it's 1, 2, 3, go, not 1, 2, 3, then go. Are we going to have this conversation? That's what I'm seeing here. He took his position by the stile, paused a moment as if in profound reflection, then looked up, and I thought smiled very slightly, then tightened the strings of his apron, then took a long look at Dammit, and finally gave the word as agreed upon. 1, 2, 3, and away! Punctually, at the word away, my poor friend set off in a strong gallop. The stile was not very high, like Mr. Lord's, nor yet very low. I think I see where this is going. Sorry, guys. Nor yet very low, like that of Mr. Lord's reviewers. But upon the whole, I made sure that he would clear it. And what then if he did not? Ah, that was the question. What if he did not? What right, said I, had the old gentleman to make any other gentleman jump? This little old dot and carry one, who is he? If he asks me to jump, I won't do it. That's flat, and I don't care who the devil he is. The bridge, as I say, was arched and covered in a very ridiculous manner, and there was a most uncomfortable echo about it at all times. An echo which I never before so particularly observed as when I uttered the last 4 words of my remark. But what I said, or what I thought, or what I heard, occupied only an instant. In less than 5 seconds from his starting, my poor Toby had taken the leap. I saw him run nimbly and spring grandly from the floor of the bridge, cutting the most awful flourishes with his legs as he went up. I saw him high in the air, pigeon winging it to admiration just over the top of the stile. And, of course, I thought it an unusually singular thing that he did not continue to go over. But the whole leap was the affair of a moment, and before I had a chance to make any profound reflections, down came Mr. Dammit on the flat of his back and on the same side of the stile from which he had started. Okay. At the same instant, I saw the whole gentleman limping off at top speed, having caught up and wrapped up in his apron, something fell heavily into it from the darkness of the arch just over the turnstile. At all of this, I was much astonished. But I had no leisure to think, for Dammit had lay particularly still. I knew it. Oh, yeah, I think everybody's figuring it out in the chat. Let's see. And I concluded that his feelings had been hurt and that he stood in need of my assistance. I hurried up to him and found that he had received what might be termed a serious injury. The truth is, he had been deprived of his head, which after a close search I could not find anywhere. So I determined to take him home and send for the homeopathists. In the meantime, a thought struck me, and I threw open an adjacent window of the bridge, when the sad truth had flashed upon me at once. About 5 feet, just above the top of the turnstile and crossing the arch of the footpath so as to constitute a brace, there extended a flat iron bar, lying with its breadth horizontally and forming one of the series that served to strengthen the structure throughout its extent. With the edge of this brace, it appeared evident that the neck of my unfortunate friend had come precisely in contact. He did not long survive his terrible loss. The homeopathists did not give him little enough physic. Yeah. And what little they did give him, he hesitated to take. So in the end, he grew worse and at length died. A lesson to all riotous livers. I bedewed his grave with my tears, worked a bar sinister on his family etruscan, and, for the general expenses of his funeral, sent in my very moderate bill to the transcendentalists. The scoundrels refused to pay for it. So I had Mr. Dammit dug up at once and sold him for dogs. Well, what do you think? Was there a moral? Never bet the devil your head, guys. Yeah, so he's fed to the dogs. Wow, guys, this was a good one. I don't know. Time for me to check in. What say the chat? Yes, beheaded. Yes, we got worse than just losing the head. You lost a head, and you're such a broke degenerate that you couldn't pay your friend back. So he sold you to be fed what kind of dogs? Like stray dogs, race dogs? Yeah, you were dog dinner. Yes, Sarah, this is very powerful. What was the moral, Icker? Really? Never bet the devil your head. I'm sure you were just joking. All right. Let's see. This, I'm glad we went there. It's 11. I'm, I feel like we always go a little late with the night shift. You guys down, or if you, as long as you guys are down to hang, I'm down. But I think we will switch and find something on the shorter side. Um, yeah. So I think 'tis time. Wait, let me check this. I think this is a poem. So if it's a poem, that's deceiving with the 6 pages. Oh, no, it's not. Okay. Hmm. Tale of the Ragged Mountains. Yeah, that one's still a little long too. So let's go and switch. Good night, Icker. I know you told me last week you're an old lady. Gotta go to bed early. So we have Gothic Murder Mayhem short stories, and we have H.P. Lovecraft. Whoever picks first will find something short. Ooh. The ending was the only part I could figure out. Um, oh, Drunken, you snuck in here. I missed that. Are there any other citizens that I missed coming in that hasn't had their card pulled yet? Oh, look at that. You got chaos mitigation, gracefully disengage, dramatically remain unbothered, Oscar worthy composure. I love being dramatically unbothered because really it's like all the drama on the inside, and it's really coming from the spiteful place, but sometimes, spite counts as motivation as long as it gets you going and you're like, listen, I am going to Queen Elizabeth this stoic face and I will win, and then goodbye. Bye, Brandon. And Houston, You called it first, so we're getting Lovecraft. So let me switch out. All right. Oh, I did not do the, look, Brandon leaves and I pull out the highlighter. What is going on in this world? Let's see. I feel like they're getting longer as we go. Yes, they are. How about the statement of Randolph Carter? That's like 5 pages. A little longer than I hoped, but we'll be all right. Yeah, page 6. Ooh, greetings, Ash. Welcome back. We switched. Wait a second, wait a second, wait a second. I forgot. I have this. I have another Poe book. So maybe there's something we haven't read in here. What's on page 666? Maybe we'll find out. So, Catherine prefers the pendulum, Bernice, Eleonora. Yeah, it seems like these are all either things we've already read or things a little long for the moment. So, Maldoror, was that something? Wait, I need to pull Ash's card. Sorry, I got distracted. That's what happens once it gets late. Oh, well, I can only read stuff I have, Ash, but it might be in one of the other books that I have. Ooh, your card tonight. Reframe, rewrite doom in third person. Add better dialogue. I feel like that's a vibe, everyone. Maybe that can be your homework assignment. There's so many writers in here. Try it out. See what happens. I mean, Sarah, you're talking about being buried alive. We can certainly investigate that. All right, page 6. The statement of Randolph Carter. Uh-oh. I already like where we're starting at. Let me get the book straight. There we go. I repeat to you, gentlemen, that your inquisition is fruitless. Detain me here forever, if you will. Confine me or execute me if you must have a victim to pro- propitiate ugh, the illusion you call justice. But I can say no more than I have said already. Everything that I can remember, I have told with perfect candor. Nothing has been distorted or concealed, and if anything remains vague, it is only because the dark cloud which has come over my mind, that cloud and the nebulous nature of the horrors which brought upon me. Again, I say, I do not know what has become of Harley Warren, though I think, almost hope, that he is in a peaceful oblivion, if there be anywhere so blessed a thing. It is true that I have for 5 years been his closest friend and a partial sharer of his terrible researches into the unknown. I will not deny, though my memory is uncertain and indistinct, that this witness of yours may have seen us together, as he says, on the Gainesville Pike, walking toward Big Cypress Swamp at 11:30 on that awful night. That we bore electric lanterns, spades, and a curious coil of wire with attached instruments. I will even affirm, for these things all played a part in the single hideous scene which remains burned into my shaken recollection. But of what followed, and of the reason I was found alone and dazed on the edge of the swamp the next morning, I must insist that I know nothing save what I have told you over and over again. You say to me that there is nothing in the swamp or near it which could form from the setting of that frightful episode. I reply that I know nothing beyond what I saw. Vision or nightmare, it may have been. Vision or nightmare, I fervently hope it was. Yet, it is all that my mind retains of what took place in those shocking hours after we left the sight of men, and why Harley Warren did not return, he or his shade, or some nameless thing I cannot describe, alone can tell. Oh, good night, Houston. It's okay, drunken. A little fear is it's kind of necessary. This is self-help after all. Oh, Sarah, how did I make the cards? These ones, it's a whole thing. At first I designed the digital. Well, we'll have to talk about that later, and I'll put more in the notes about the cards because it's a whole thing. But you can get them on the Begrudgingly Grateful website. You say there's nothing in the swamp before fight episode. I reply that I know nothing beyond what I saw. Vision or nightmare, okay, I really hope it is. Retains shocking hours left of the sight of man. Nameless thing I cannot describe, alone can tell. Okay. As I have said before, the weird studies of Harley Warren were well known to me, and to some extent shared by me. Of his vast collection of strange, rare books on forbidden subjects, I have read all that are written in the languages of which I am a master. But these are few as compared with those in languages I cannot understand. Most, I believe, are in Arabic, and the fiend-inspired book which had brought on the end, the book which he carried in his pocket out of the world, was written in characters whose like I never saw elsewhere. Warren would never tell me just what was in that book. As to the nature of our studies, I must say again that I no longer retain full comprehension. Or must I say again that I no longer retain full comprehension? It seems to me rather merciful that I do not, for they were terrible studies, which I pursued more through reluctant fascination than through actual inclination. Warren always dominated me, and sometimes I feared him. I remember how I shuddered at his facial expression on the night before the awful happening, when he talked so incessantly of his theory. Why certain corpses never decay, but rest firm and fat in their tombs for 1,000 years. But I do not fear him now, for I suspect that he has known horrors beyond my ken. Now I fear for him. Once more, I say that I have no clear idea of our object on that night. Certainly, it had much to do with something in the book in which Warren carried with him. that ancient book in indecipherable characters which had come to him from India a month before. But I swear I do not know what it was that we expected to find. Your witness says he saw us at 11:30 on the Gainesville Pike, headed for the big cypress swamp. This is probably true, but I have no distinct memory of it. The picture seared into my soul is one of scene only, and the hour must have been long after midnight, for a waning crescent moon was high in the vaporous heavens. The place was an ancient cemetery, so ancient that I trembled at the manifold signs of immemorial years. It was in a deep, damp, hollow, overgrown with rank grass, moss, and curious creeping weeds, and filled with a vague stench which my idle fancy associated absurdly with rotting stone. On every hand, there were signs of neglect and decrepitude. And I seemed haunted by the notion that Warren and I were the first living creatures to invade a lethal silence of centuries. Over the valley's rim, a wan, waning crescent moon peered through the noisome vapors that seemed to emanate from the unheard of catacombs. And, by its feeble, wavering beams, could I distinguish a repellent array of antique slabs, urns, cenotaphs, and mausolean facades, all crumbling, moss grown, and moisture stained, and partly concealed by the gross luxuriance of the unhealthy vegetation. My first vivid impression of my own presence in this terrible necropolis concerns the act of pausing with Warren before a certain half obliterated sepulchre, and of throwing down some burdens which we seemed to have been carrying. I now observed that I had with me an electric lantern and two spades, flashlight, shovels, whilst my companion was supplied with a similar lantern and a portable telephone outfit. No word was uttered for the spot and the task that seemed known to us, and without delay, we seized our spades and commenced to clear away the grass, weeds, and drifted earth from the flat, archaic mortuary. After uncovering the entire surface, which consisted of three immense granite slabs, we stepped back some distance to survey the charnel scene, and Warren appeared to make some mental calculations. Then he returned to the sepulchre, and using his spade as a lever, sought to pry up the slab lying nearest to a stony ruin which may have been a monument in its day. He did not succeed, and motioned to me to come to his assistance. Finally, our combined strength loosened the stone, which raised and tipped to one side. The removal of the slab revealed a black aperture, which from which rushed an effluence of miasmal gases so nauseous that we started back in horror. After an interval, however, we approached the pit again and found the exhaltations less unbearable. Our lanterns disclosed the top of a flight of stone steps, dripping with some detestable ichor of the inner earth, and she's gone. Aw. And bordered by moist walls encrusted with nitre. And now, for the first time, my memory records verbal discourse. Warren, addressing me at length in his mellow tenor voice, a voice singularly unperturbed by our awesome surroundings. "I'm sorry to have to ask you to stay on the surface," he said, "but it would be a crime to let anyone with your frail nerves go down there. You can't imagine, even from what you have read and from what I've told you, the things that I shall have to see and do. It's fiendish work, Carter, and I doubt if any man without ironclad sensibilities could ever see through it and come up alive insane. I don't wish to offend you, and heaven knows I'd be glad enough to have you with me, but the responsibility is in a certain sense mine, and I couldn't drag a bundle of nerves like you down to probable death or madness. I tell you, you can't imagine what the thing is really like. But I promise to keep you informed over the telephone of every move. You'll see. I've enough wire to reach to the center of the earth and back. I can still hear in memory those coolly spoken words, and I can still remember my remonstrances. I seemed desperately anxious to accompany my friend into those sepulchral depths. Yet he proved inflexibly obdurate. At one time, he threatened to abandon the expedition if I remained insistent. A threat which proved effective, since he alone held the key to the thing. All this I can still remember, though I no longer know what manner of thing we sought. After he had secured my reluctant acquiescence in his design, Warren picked up the reel of wire and adjusted the instruments. At his nod, I took one of the latter and seated myself upon an aged, discolored gravestone close by the newly uncovered aperture. Then he shook my hand, shouldered the coil of wire, and disappeared within that indescribable ossuary. For a moment, I kept sight of the glow of his lantern and heard the rustle of the wire as he laid it down after him. But the glow soon disappeared abruptly, as if a turn in the stone staircase had been encountered, and the sound died away almost as quickly. I was alone, yet bound to the unknown depths by which those magic strands, whose insulated surface lay green beneath the struggling beams of that waning crescent moon. In the lone silence of that hoary and deserted city of the dead, my mind conceived the most ghastly fantasies and illusions, and the grotesque shrines and monoliths seemed to assume a hideous personality, a half sentience. Amorphous shadows seemed to lurk in the darker recesses of the weed-choked hollow, and to flit as in some blasphemous ceremonial procession past the portals of the moldering tombs in the hillside. Shadows which could not have been cast by that pallid, peering crescent moon. I constantly consulted my watch, by which the light of my electric lantern, and listened with feverish anxiety at the receiver of the telephone. But for more than a quarter of an hour, heard nothing. Then a faint clicking came from the instrument, and I called down to my friend in a tense voice. Apprehensive as I was nevertheless unprepared for the words which came up from that uncanny vault in accents more alarmed and quivering than any I had heard before from Harley Warren. He who had so calmly left me a little while previously now called from below in a shaky whisper and a more portentous than the loudest shriek, "God, if you could see what I'm doing!" I could not answer. Speechless. I could only wait. Then came the frenzied tones again. "Carter, it's terrible, monstrous, unbelievable." This time, my voice did not fail me, and I poured into the transmitter a flood of excited questions. Terrified, I continued to repeat, "Warren, what is it? What is it?" Once more came the voice of my friend, still hoarse with fear, and now apparently tinged with despair. I can't tell you, Carter. It's it's too utterly beyond thought. I dare not tell you. No man could know it and live. Great God, I never dreamed of this. Then stillness again, save now for my incoherent torrent of shuddering inquiry. Then the voice of Warren in a pitch of wilder consternation. Carter, for the love of God, put the slab back and get us out of this if you can. Quick, leave everything else, make for the outside. It's your only chance. Do as I say, and don't ask me to explain. I heard, yet I was able only to repeat my frantic questions. Around me were the tombs and the darkness and the shadows. Below me, some peril beyond the radius of human imagination. But my friend was in a greater danger than I, and through my fear, I felt a vague resentment that he should deem me capable of deserting him under such circumstances. More clicking, and after a pause, a piteous cry from Warren. Beat it! For God's sake, put back the slab and beat it, Carter. Something in the boyish slang of my evidently stricken companion unleashed my faculties. I formed and shouted a resolution. Warren, brace up. I'm coming down. But at this offer, the tone of my auditor changed to a scream of utter despair. Don't! You can't understand. It's too late. And my own fault. Put back the slab and run. There's nothing else you or anyone can do now. The tone changed again, this time acquiring a softer quality, as of hopeless resignation. Yet it remained tense through anxiety for me. I want to check the chat. I want to see if anybody else has said that you think this guy's full of shit. Because I've been, like, I mean, you know me, I'm reading. And as I was reading, I did put it on a little bit. Because I feel like he's fucking about. I don't think this is real. Um, when I read stuff like this by myself, I feel like I'm reading a different language. Yes, sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, why do we have all these words? I thought I knew what was happening, but now there's too many words. Oh, yeah, no, this is what's happening. Quick, before it's too late. I tried not to heed him, tried to break through the paralysis which held me, and to fulfill my vow to rush down to his aid. But his next whisper found me still inert in the chains of stark horror. Carter, hurry. It's no use. You must go. Better one than two. The slab. A pause. More clicking. Then the faint voice of Warren. Nearly over now. Don't make it harder. Cover up those damn steps and run for your life. You're losing time. So long, Carter. Won't see you again. Here, Warren's whisper swelled into a cry that gradually rose to a shriek fraught with all the horror of the ancients. Curse these hellish things! Legions! My God! Beat it! Beat it! Beat it! After that was silence. I know not how many interminable eons I sat stupefied, whispering, muttering, calling, screaming into that telephone. over and over again. Through those eons, I whispered and muttered, called, shouted, and screamed, Warren! Warren! Answer me! Are you there? And then there came to me the crowning horror of all, the unbelievable, unthinkable, almost unmentionable thing. I have said that eons seemed to elapse after Warren shrieked forth his last despairing warning, and that only my own cries now broke the hideous silence. But after a while, there was a further clicking in the receiver, and I strained my ears to listen. Again, I called down, Warren, are you there? And in answer, heard the thing, which has brought this cloud over my mind. I do not try, gentlemen, to account for that thing, that voice, nor can I venture to describe it in detail, since the first words took away my consciousness and created a mental blank which reaches to the time of my awakening in the hospital. I shall say that the voice was deep, hollow, gelatinous. That is one of my favorite fucking words. Remote, unearthly, inhuman, disembodied. What shall I say? It was the end of my experience, and is the end of my story. I heard it and knew no more. Heard it as I sat petrified in that unknown cemetery in the hollow amidst the crumbling stones and falling tombs, the rank vegetation and the miasmal vapors. Heard it well up from the innermost depths of that damnable open sepulchre as I watched amorphous, necrophagous shadows dance beneath an accursed waning room. And this is what it said. You fool! Warren is dead. Okay, so we were just doing horror. That's fine. That was fun. Yes, Wendy. Gelatinous, miasmal vapors. We've got some good words going yet again. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Yeah, they never use a word when they could use 10. Is this gaslighting? Uh, I swear to God, if I was sitting in a graveyard smoking weed with you kids, this would be the 1990s all over again. Oh my gosh. That was good. I liked that. We have another wonderful begrudging book club in the books. Yes. Thank you, Sarah. See you later. All you alligators. Stay begrudging. Stay grateful. And I will get our cards up soon. Oh my gosh, it looks like we had a pretty solid turnout. I have like a stack of cards, unless I accidentally mixed some in. But thank you guys, as always. Best book club ever. I feel like every week we keep going and going. So we're just going to keep doing it. Eventually, Chuck will hear my pleas and he will allow me to read Haunted on here. Right now, I'm sticking to material in the public domain, but one can hope. Alrighty, guys. I'll have everything up for you guys soon. Is this a drinking game or how does this work? And how do you have so many cards? Well, I made these. They're part of the Begrudgingly Grateful. This one is the anti-stress deck. And it's not a drinking game. I'm sure you can turn it into one, especially like, maybe we can work that in. But they're cards for spiraling or when you need a vibe, get your head out of your ass type thing. And they're part of the Begrudgingly Grateful Dispatch universe. And I'll, like I said, I'll put more in the repost once I have everything set up. And always feel free to check out, there are some orientation pages if you go to the Begrudging Dispatch homepage here on Substack. There are pinned pages that have some more information. Or, like I said earlier, you can go to begrudginglygrateful.com and it will tell you more about the whole project. And the Dispatch is kind of like it's the newspaper from self-help. Oh my goodness. Yep, it's 11:34. I feel like, yeah, these night ones have been running an hour and a half, and I think that's about all my voice has. So I am out of here, guys. Stay begrudging. Stay grateful.